Hello and welcome, I'm Chris and this is the hair tutorial channel, and on this video I'm going to be talking about levels of lift for Highlift Tint and for Bleach. Now this is part of a 3-part series and I'll link the other 2 parts in cards up here as well as in the description below, where I cover how many levels of lift you can get with tint, how many levels it will actually lift, and what tone to use. So if you want to check them out, they're in the links. So we're going to start this video by talking about our Highlift Tint. So our base tints 1 to 10 will lift 3 to 4 levels on natural hair, and you're pushing it if you want to lift 4 levels. That's explained in the other videos. Highlift Tint, however, is designed to lift 4 to 5 levels. However, that doesn't mean that you can't use it just to lift 3 levels. That is also something to consider. Again, Highlift Tint is designed to lift natural hair. Tint won't lift tint, so they're no good for lifting through colour. That's why we're going to need our bleach, which I'll talk about later on in the video. Now obviously Highlift Tint generally contain more ammonia, and this is where you're going to get your more levels of lift from, because they have more ammonia within them, allowing more lift. You're also going to be mixing them probably at a higher ratio than your traditional base colours. Generally it's a 1 to 2 mixing ratio, and also as well you're probably going to have to leave them on longer. Now because you're getting more levels of lift, you are sacrificing in other areas. Specifically, you're going to sacrifice in your grey coverage. Now obviously if you have grey or white hair, it's already grey, it's already white, you actually don't need to lift the hair. So using something like a Highlift Tint isn't going to be the best, because you're going to get levels of lift, but you're going to get very little tonal deposit. So although a lot of high lifts do have tones within them, the tonal deposit that neutralizes unwanted red or unwanted copper or unwanted yellow isn't going to be specifically that strong, depending on the brand you're using. But that doesn't mean as well that there aren't ways around this. Generally speaking, if you want to lift 4 levels of lift with a high tint, this is where you're going to be using your 9%, your 30 volt. If you want to lift 5 levels of lift, this is where you're going to be using your 12%, your 40 volt. Now the advantage to using something like a high lift over bleach is that it is still much kinder and softer to the hair, and also after the processing time it loses its ability to lift, so it is a much more controllable lift than visually watching a bleach. Also as well, the Highlift Tint does have tone built into it, so whereas if you use a bleach you're probably going to have to tone afterwards with a separate toner, these do have some built in. Now many brands also as well have a booster, so you're able to actually boost an extra level of lift and get to 6 levels of lift by adding the booster into your tint. And again, this can come in very handy. But even if you get 6 levels of lift, but from my general experience, although you are achieving 6 levels of lift, if you think you're going to get the same result as using bleach, you're not. So if you have a client that's had bleach and now wants to switch over to high lift because they feel it would be better condition for their hair, just bear this in mind. It will never exactly match into bleach, because bleach is bleach and high lift is high lift. So let's say you used high lift on the root and they had bleach ends, you're going to want to use a toner on those ends to blend it into the new root. Now like I said, high lift does have a built-in tonal property which does massively help. Now you can add to this by using your intensives. So if you wanted to add more violet or blue into your high lift, then you can use your intensive range, and most of the ranges have an intensive or add in intensifier for the pigments. Likewise as well, there's nothing to say that you can't tone after using your high lift. So if you don't quite achieve the tonal effect, that still means at the backwash you can use a toner to maybe remove a little bit more warmth. Now the general problem that I have personally with high lifts is obviously that most people have coloured hair, and because tint won't lift tint, not even a high lift, that means it will work great on the root area of natural hair but isn't going to do anything to those ends. So your only option in this case is to use a bleach or a lightener. Now I think most colour companies out there now have a 9-level bleach, which, let's be honest, is absolutely fantastic. However, you may be new to hairdressing. This video is being shot in July and it won't be long before the colleges restart and we have a whole new batch of fantastic hairdressers wanting to start their career. So if you're one of those and you're just watching this video, and you might think, fantastic, a 9-level bleach, I can lift somebody from a level 1 to a level 9. Well, no, that's not how it works. Unfortunately, because it would save us a ton of time and a ton of money. So how exactly colour companies measure the levels of lift within the bleach, a 6 to a 9 level bleach, I'm not exactly sure. But from a hairdressing point of view and from a technical point of view, I do know that they do lift more and they do lift quicker. But you're not going to be able to lift in most instances from a level 1 to a level 9 in one sitting. So all of a sudden you may feel a little bit conned by this. And you may also wonder why they still make level 6 bleach if there is a level 9 bleach. Well, again, they're generally higher quality and they do have more lifting ability, and depending on the client base that you do work with, if your general client base is a base 6 and above, you might not need a level 9 bleach. The level 6 bleach, which are generally very good quality but a little bit cheaper, are going to do you fine. So how a bleach generally works is that it continues to lift. It will never stop lifting, unlike tints. However, usually after an hour they lose 95% of their lifting ability. So really, that's to say in the first hour that's when they have all their lift. However, they do continue to lift, which is why you shouldn't just leave bleach on until you're happy to rinse it off. You need to always visually watch how many levels of lift you are getting with the bleach. And again, what developer you mix with your bleach will also determine the levels of lift and the result that you get. The higher the level of developer you use, the quicker it will lift. However, also by doing this, the more damage you're going to do to the hair, and also depending on the base you're working on, you may not break down all the natural or artificial pigment in the hair. So then you may be left with damaged hair that is also very difficult to tone. So when you're using bleach or lightener, what I would always recommend is to use the lowest level of developer you possibly can. This is going to get you to the level that you want. It may take a little bit longer. Rather than taking half an hour with 9%, it may take 45 minutes with the 6%, but it will break down the colour molecules much better, giving you a cleaner colour. It will also help with the condition of the hair. And this is why in a lot of instances when clients are coming in, whether that's for highlights or balayage or even an all over global bleaching service, most hairdressers are going to say this is going to take a couple of applications, because depending on the quality of the hair, the colour build up and the base you're starting on, realistically you're not going to go from a level 1 to a level 9 in one sitting. So whatever technique or service you're going to use to lighten that client, it may actually take a couple of processes to get them there. Now, there's nothing to stop if the condition of the hair is okay and you have time to do back-to-back services. However, a lot of clients aren't happy obviously to be in a salon that length of time or to pay out the money that's required to do back-to-back services. Whereas they would be happy to go from a level 6 to like a level 9 on their first sitting, and when they come back in 6 to 8 weeks time, to get from that level 9 up to a level 12 and end up with the result that they want. Now, the bleaches as well are going to need a toner afterwards in most instances. Now, luckily we seem to be coming out of this pure white bleached ash fashion that has been around for such a long time, which again really does make our jobs much easier, because to slightly neutralize out unwanted warmth and get it to a creamy color or even a nice toffee or honey is a lot easier than getting it very, very ash or very, very white. It also lasts a lot longer in the hair because you don't notice such a contrast when somebody's hair is white maintaining. So it is a more realistic expectation and something really that I think is more flattering on most people and their colour pigment within their skin. I do have a video on toners and I'll link that in the description and just up here. Now, if you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to smash the like button because it lets me know that I'm producing content that is good and interesting, and it also helps promote the video and get the message out to other hairdressers. And why not check out some of these other videos coming up.